If humanity could travel back 3.8 billion years, we would immediately fall into a deadly crisis. Back then, Earth was not the blue planet, but a red-orange, shrouded in fire and toxic. The sky was filled, and every breath could take your life. A day back then lasted only about 14 to surface temperatures often fluctuated, and volcanic eruptions occurred. Lava flowed across. Meteor impacts also happened far more. This was Earth during the Archean, a purgatory, where even life forms would have struggled. And yet, in that desperate environment, one of the most astonishing miracles, something came into being, and its appearance completely Earth, even more than it would give rise to you, the person. So what was that mystery? Not alien technology, nor some mystical mineral fallen from the sky. Something so tiny the naked eye, life in the scorching primordial, in those acidic oxygen, the first prokaryotic organisms, like a green sprout rising from far beyond anything we understood. For life to exist, even more incredible, which seemed utterly hopeless, lasted for what kind of time span is 1 point? From the extinction of it has only been about 60. That means the Archean lasted 20. Then the age of. During that immense span, Earth was like a feverish, reliving scenes of hell every single day. So why did the Archean last so long? Why could such a harsh environment for 1.5 billion? The answer lies deep within. At that time, plate tectonics was still in its fragments of Earth's crust float, molten, like scattered puzzle. They did not yet have the force to, nor could they form large mountains. This standstill kept the planet in a strange kind of balance. The environment, but unusually stable. It was not until the middle of the Archean, meteor showers and volcanic activity also began. Earth, long dormant, seemed to. Plate tectonics became more. Countless small continental plates colliding, separating, and it was this process, the face of. At the same time, a crucial chemical reaction. Rain poured down on those young, carrying with carbonate and many other minerals, much like adding baking soda to, began to neutralize the deadly acidity, the salinity of the ocean, while their acidity steadily, after that toxic soup capable of, slowly transformed into a cradle. This was almost the greatest chemical. Around 3.5 billion years ago, the first prokaryotes quietly. Their structure was astonishing. No nucleus, and thousands of times smaller than a grain. Yet those tiny, which seemed so insignificant, carried within them to change the entire world. Among them was a group of microorganisms, the first great engineers. They possessed a superpower. They could absorb CO2 from, with the help of sunlight, release oxygen as if by magic. Each cyanobacterial cell was a tiny oxygen, though the amount of oxygen by each individual was extremely small. Their numbers were enormous, and the process went on. At first, the oxygen they released could not enter the atmosphere because the oceans were full of iron. These acted like ravenous monsters, madly devouring it, forming red-banded iron deposits. Today, those iron deposit resources of industrial civil was a byproduct of cyanobacterial. 3 billion years ago? After a full billion years, the iron ions in the ocean, only then did oxygen break free and begin to pour steadily into this oxygen had, for hundreds of millions of, the oxygen concentration in the atmosphere, that 1%. It was like the key that opened one of the most in planetary, the great oxidation event. Had been, from that oxygen, a critical threshold, and began to build up rapidly in the atmosphere. For ancient anaerobic organisms, they were wiped out as oxygen spread. This was the first biological mass, but at the same time, an entirely oxygen gave an unprecedentedly efficient source of new organisms capable of to an oxygen-rich. They used oxygen for respiration, 10 times more energy. With such abundant energy, life could finally grow larger and more eukaryotes gradually appeared, and then multicellular organisms began to evolve. By around 540, Earth witnessed an explosive event in life, the Cambrian explosion. All the flowers, birds, wild beasts, and even human beings, those cyanobacteria that quietly produced oxygen for but they changed the fate of they were simple, but they laid the foundation for the most At the same time, the rise in oxygen also to drop, weakening the green, and gradually cool the scorching age of the Archean. Earth was preparing to end the Proterozoic era, where global ice ages would one day, but also open up new possibilities for the evolution of life.